But if you're going to fuck with me, then I'm going to fuck right back with you. Right?
Mic
You know,
drop.
just get the fuck out of the way. Welcome to Cue the Mic. I'm Darren Worth.
And I'm Randy Twyford.
And I'm Emma Derflinger, and this is episode 64.
64 of old Cue the Mic. Welcome
More than
back.
a year. Yeah, more than a year. It's kind of nice having everybody back in their homesteads and everything.
Yeah, Darren's not sitting on a patio underneath the sprinkling rain and
with an air conditioner in the back.
With an air conditioner running in the background. Darren's, yeah, it's kind of nice to be back home working 20 hours a day. No, not 20 hours a day, but feels like it.
You're in crunch time for the old breakfast restaurant.
How's that going?
They're moving. We're putting things back together now.
Okay. That's a good step to be in.
I walked in. So as soon as I got home, as soon as I drove home on the 4th of July, we drove back early in the morning. Well, not early in the morning, but we got home before lunch on 4th of July, and I was home for about 5 minutes. And Sherry says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to work. I got things to fix." And so I thought I'd run by the restaurant, get the breakfast restaurant, and get a status. And so I went by and I checked out. They were supposed to pour the concrete footings for my walk-in cooler pad. So check that out. And they poured those the wrong way. Somebody read the plans wrong. So, that's good. We can just so happen the concrete guy pulled up right after me and goes, "Hey, what do you think of the footings?" So I said, "It's great. If you would have poured them the right way, it was supposed to be 8 by 10 this way. And it's supposed to be 10 by 8 instead of 8 by 10. Well, God damn it, he handed me the plans. I said, "Who handed you what plans?" "Well, the guy working for the contractor." And I said, "Well, I told the head of the contractor and I told the guy that actually dug the footings that it needed to go the opposite way because otherwise the walk-in cooler is going to hit the parking lot and somebody's going to run into it." Well, I kind of thought that way. And he goes, "Oh, don't worry." He said, "We got the tape measure out." And he goes, we can make it work. It's only going to overhang about 3 inches. So when he pours the pad, we're going to make it work. He hadn't poured the top yet. So we're going to make it work. All will be fine. But the kitchen, they had the kitchen walls 90% of the way up. They were supposed to be done so I was anxious. They were going to finish it all on Friday and get all the support beams and all that stuff finalized. Of course, I was up there Friday morning dinking around, waiting on the contractor to show up, and 8:30, 9 o'clock, nobody showed up. So I called him and the crew called in sick today. I'm going to imagine that on a holiday weekend. So I had the ceiling guy scheduled to come in on Sunday to replace all the ceilings. So I had to push him back. So, you lose a day, you lose a week. So they said, "Well, we promise we'll be out of there by Tuesday night. We're going to throw 4 guys on the job Monday, Tuesday, and knock it all out." So by Tuesday, all the walls should be back in. And by Wednesday, we should have the ceiling guy. And if I can get the electrician and the HVAC guy on Thursday and Friday, we should be all ready to put the ceiling tiles back in. And we're ready for paint and floor. And, we're only 3 or 4 weeks off now. I say that all the time, but going to actually try and get the flooring guy wanted to do it all at once, but I'm going to see if I can get him to maneuvering in to do the kitchen the same time the paint person's in there, so that once he does the kitchen floors, then I can be working in the kitchen, getting all that plumbing set and kitchen equipment set.
Right.
While he's doing the kitchen floors out in the dining room and stuff. So that'll gain us a week. So I don't know. We're coming back together. I mean, it looks. Yesterday,
That's
I hired
exciting.
a moving company to come because we had never moved all the chairs. We had just all the tables and chairs. We never moved out because we weren't gonna. When this project started, we were just gonna put HVAC and do some paint. And they're like, "Oh, don't take any of just take the kitchen equipment out because we're going to redo those floors, but don't take any of the and we were going to deep clean. So don't take any of the tables and chairs out while we just pushed them all to the side. Well, of course, now taking out all these ceilings and everything to do this HVAC equipment, now there's an inch of dust over everything. And then we decided to do the floors. So I had to move it all out. And I'm like, there's no way. So we filled a 28-foot truck with, I called a moving company yesterday, and they moved out of 28-foot truck full of tables and chairs and moved it to the warehouse for me yesterday. So
That's good.
we got that all out, and I got about probably 4 hours worth of my own work today to go and just miscellaneous shit that's laying around, get it all. Chances are 95% of it's going to go outside to the dumpster and just get thrown away.
Right.
You know, you got little glass salt and pepper shakers that they used to fill. Well, you know, the Darren way is just buy your damn salt and pepper shakers, and when they get empty, buy the plastic ones.
Buy the plastic ones. You think that's a better way to go?
Well, I mean, it's probably cheaper to do the salt and pepper ones, but we'll just do the plastic ones. And there's coffee cups and but I mean, they're old, they're cracked, or whatever. Just
Are you
so there's
putting in?
What?
No, go ahead.
No, really. Am I putting in what?
Are you putting in new tables and chairs and plates and
I'm
coffee
going to try
cups and all that?
They're all in pretty good. The tables and chairs and booths are all in pretty good shape. We have one that was broken, so I got to fix it. But we moved it all to the warehouse, and so I'm putting in the cabinets. We're repainting all the kitchen cabinets were in there. I'm putting in new countertops. We were going to cut off both ends of the cabinets, and the contractor came to me and said, hey, instead of cutting down these cabinets, we're just going to cut them and move them down, because you're cutting 18 inches off this end and this end. We're just going to take out one 36-inch cabinet and just slide it all down. So I thought that was a pretty good idea. He said it'll save you a ton of money in labor. So
good.
Yeah. So we're getting there. We're putting her back together. So my goal is, you know, Sherry's got a Florida trip planned with her friends on August 5th. My goal is canceling that trip for sure.
Mean her canceling it?
No, I'm going to cancel it.
Let her
She-
go
Why
on
does
the
she have to
trip.
be here?
I don't.
No.
I don't need Sherry. I don't need Sherry here for a startup.
I was going to say, so you're not going, but
you can't. Yes.
you're
Yeah, she
going to
can
have
go.
her go.
So you
We
just
planned
said
this trip
you
months
just
ago.
okay. So you said Sherry has a girls' trip, but really it's you guys have a trip.
No, it's not a girls' trip. No, it's
Oh.
we have a trip. We have a trip.
Oh,
we have a trip.
okay.
Okay, you
All
said
right.
Sherry
I
has a-
see, said the blind man.
Yeah.
No. Oh no, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to say girls' trip.
Kind
So
of
she
some
has
fuckery going
Yeah.
on.
she
here.
has a Florida trip planned the
Oh.
beginning of
Okay.
August that we planned like 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to come down to the wire. That's going to get canceled. And she says,
Sure.
"Oh no, we'll be fine." I'm like, "No, it's going to get canceled. You're either going to Florida with our friends or it's getting canceled." I mean,
Right.
there's no
She'll probably
doubt
just
about
go
it.
with her friends.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah,
Which is fine.
that makes more sense.
She can.
Sounds like that
so
project's progressing nicely.
we're
Now
getting
that
there.
you're back
And,
in there.
yep. And then our other project down in Southeast Iowa is just starting to heat up. We just closed on the land last week in Southeast Iowa. So
Let's
Um,
revisit
that-
that. What are you doing?
Yeah, can you
So-
talk about that? I don't know if you've actually really.
Yeah,
You've just said it was. Yeah, you've been kind of secretive about it.
yeah,
us the deets.
so down in Southeast Iowa, my sister owns a cheesecake company called Shut Your Pie Hole Cheesecakes.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's been cooking cheesecakes out of her kitchen for years, but in the last couple of years, she's really gotten serious about it. And she's went and got her home license to cook cheesecakes or bake cheesecakes out of her kitchen. And she just does a bang up business. And so she's got this, she's running up against, and I'm sure she's exceeding it. And hopefully no health department runs against this, but she has a license that allows her to do up to 50,000 in sales out of her kitchen.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's got some deals with local restaurants and local
okay.
gift shops and stuff down there where they have merchandisers that she restocks little big cheesecakes, mini cheesecakes, and she provides cheesecakes to restaurants at wholesale pricing that they sell by the slice. She
Sure.
also provides cheese. She also provides little small crustless cheesecakes to me
I was going to
that I
say,
cube up and put in our jarfets.
yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so she's going to provide more and more cheesecakes to me to sell in our operations, but I haven't even turned that faucet on. So she struggled because she's been working night and day cooking cheesecakes. Well, her husband just retired a couple weeks ago. And so now he's working the cheesecake full time, but they've just struggled trying to do this out of their house.
Right.
And
Right.
and so I said, well, and I've been trying to get her to build a commercial kitchen for about 3 or 4 years now. And I'm like, the only way you're going to get big and make this take off and make this become your dream is to do it the right way.
Right.
Right. Randy, kind of like I tried to convince you for a few years,
Right.
is just build it and they will come.
You're right.
And so she's him hauled around until finally she called me up and goes, okay, I'm ready. We need to get this done. So I said, okay, I'm going to go buy a piece of land. So I was able to find a piece of land right across the street from their house.
Oh, nice.
And I went
huge.
through, a commercial piece of property right across the street in the town of New London, Iowa, small little
Mhm.
town.
Mhm.
And so I've spent the last 4 months dicking around with the city of New London,
You're
trying
kidding
to
me.
buy. Oh no. And the price was set, right? The price was set. But I've spent 4 months dicking with the bureaucracy of the city of New London, trying to buy a half-acre plot of land
To build a
Right.
commercial building on.
to build a commercial building. So we're going to build a little, I think it's a 24 by 65 commercial building, commercial kitchen with a little retail spot on the front,
Oh,
a
okay.
commercial kitchen with a walk-in cooler, walk-in freezer, and then a nice storage area in the back. And so I hired a general contractor out of Southeast Iowa that builds most commercial buildings, and he's going to build this building. So he got me an initial price on it, and now they're going into the details. So they've been laying out the plot and going through getting the final bids. And now, in a last minute curveball, her son just graduated from Grinnell College from the gunsmithing program. And there's only a few people that graduate every year from this gunsmithing program. And he graduated. I mean, he did a really good job, and he just loves gunsmithing. And for those that don't know gunsmithing, there's a huge demand for people that know gunsmithing. Well, he could go to work any day now for one of these big Colt or people that, Remington or whatever, that do gunsmithing, but he'd just as soon open his own shop, which then would require, a space and machinery and whatever. So we've started to look at this and said, hey, while we're building this building, maybe we expand this building a little bit, and maybe we put a gunsmithing shop in the back of this same building, because he doesn't need much space. He just needs a little more power, and that would kind of help offset the rent. So now we're looking at not only building a building for a cheesecake factory, but also not a cheesecake factory, but a cheesecake kitchen, but a gunsmithing shop in the same building.
Huh.
So
That is
we're
the
working
most
through that
Southeast
project.
Iowa
And
thing I've ever heard.
yeah, cheesecakes and
front.
guns, man. What else would you want?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Next thing you know,
Right.
they'll open a bar.
Well, we might put a bar on the back of it. So we designed this building to just keep adding on. I mean, I could add on another 100 feet to the back of this building if I wanted to. So I
That's so
designed
funny.
it to expand,
That's
right?
so
So the
funny.
building is designed to expand. And I figured we'd be expanding into cheesecakes, but maybe we're not going to expand into cheesecakes. Maybe we're going to expand into guns. But you know what? It doesn't matter. If I can help her live her dream, and if I can help him live his dream, that's what it's all about. I
Yeah.
don't care. I just like living dreams. And if I can help be a part of that, I'm all about it.
I got a question for you. let's revisit this City of New London deal. I
Oh
mean,
God.
how big, and this goes back to people, say they live in a small town and they want to open up a barbecue restaurant. And they think all it takes is building a shed or putting up something and going in. And then once they get into it, they realize all the regulations and bullshit that you have to go through, that maybe this is something you want to make sure you do all this before you quit your day job if you're doing that. And that. So how big a town is New London?
1,800 people.
1,800 people.
1,800 people.
And what do they make? What kind of hoops are they putting you through? So people would
Randy,
know.
Randy, I've hired 2 lawyers to get through the bureaucracy of this bullshit. They've wanted to see site plans. It's been nothing but hurry up and wait on this thing. I'm telling you, Randy, I would have rather built a building from scratch in downtown Chicago with Governor Pritzker's approval, because I
Right.
knew I could have bought that one.
Right.
Right? This is just crazy. I mean, it is hurry up and wait because, and what's funny is the funny thing of the whole thing is, well, we have to go through. I'm like, okay, here, let me just give you 25,000 in cash for the lot, right? Okay, just sign it over. We'll be done. Well, no, we have to go through a public approval process. What do you mean? It's platted commercial. On the plat, when you built this, there's a housing subdivision behind it, but this is platted commercial. The Dollar General built on that same plot, 2 plots down, like 6 years ago. No, there's been zero interest in this lot, right, for 6 years, right? Zero interest in this lot for 6 years. But then I go to buy it. First, I want to buy an acre, and then somebody on the city council decides, well, you know, my son, he was thinking about building out there too. Do you think maybe you could just take half of it? And so then we had to split the parcel, and then we had to resurvey it. And then when we resurveyed it, then you got to get all that paperwork associated with it. And then we had to go through a public approval process. So we had to have a city council meeting to start that process. And then we had to have a 30 or a 45-day public opinion process
Where people
so
could,
that the public could say yay or nay, hey, I disapprove of this project. It's on the edge of town. It's not even the only neighbor that it has is my sister. Right?
I'm curious, did anybody yay or nay it?
Oh no, fuck no, they didn't. And the funny thing is, it had to go before the Planning and Zoning Commission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess who's on the Planning and Zoning Commission? My brother-in-law.
Oh my God.
And so I'm like, well, can't we just fast track this? Can't we call a special council meeting and just fucking rubber stamp this? Some bitch, oh God, no, we can't do that. We only have special meetings on this. I started this project. I made my first initial offer to them December 22nd.
Get out.
Holy
I
crap.
just closed on it in June 25th,
Get out.
right? No, June 25th. June 25th. I hired the general contractor in January.
Well, and is there somebody that's got a hard on for your family or something?
No, not at all.
Randy.
Not at all. It's just small town
Yeah.
bureaucratic bullshit. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'm telling you, it's the same. I'm dealing with the same here in Polk County, right?
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. Have we talked about my walk-in cooler project?
No, but
I don't think so.
So my walk-in cooler project here at Polk County, because the same thing applies. So we're not in the city of Des Moines with the new restaurant. We're in Polk County. So we go down to Polk County. And I had a guy that was working kind of with me. He was trying to be a general contractor. But anyway, I said, hey, check and see if we need anything to put in Polk County. So he goes down to Polk County, and they convince him that we need a permit to put a walk-in cooler. And
okay,
it was
understood.
it was a replacement walk-in cooler. And so he signs up for a permit for a walk-in cooler. Well, okay, no big deal. So then we go to get an electrical inspection or a plumbing inspection, and they said, well, we can't do this because you haven't got approved for your walk-in cooler permit. And I said, what the fuck's that got to do with anything? And they're going, well, that's a general construction permit. That has to be approved before any other permit below that. And I said, wait a second, you're telling me the walk-in cooler permit's holding up my plumbing and electrical permits? Well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, who's in charge? So I get to the top of it, and finally I'm out of town. And finally they're like, they called back and said, okay, Darren, settle down. We'll do your plumbing inspection. So when I get back to town, I'm like, there's only one way to deal with this. I just unannounced, I walk in the office down there, and I get to the guy. And I said, okay, tell me first, I want you to explain to me why I need this permit. Please tell me why I need a walk-in cooler permit. I don't need a permit for any outbuilding under 1,000 square feet. Right? Yep. Okay, it's 8 by 10 walk-in cooler and it's an outbuilding. That's 800 square feet. Yep. It's not attached to the building. What do you mean it's not attached to the building? I said it's butted up to the building. If the building falls down, the walk-in cooler's still standing. If the walk-in cooler falls down, the building's still standing. The only thing we're doing is we're cutting a hole in the side of the building. We're not taking out any studs because it's a metal building. It's got a beam that goes, horizontal. And all we're doing is cutting a piece of tin and we're flashing it so the bugs and all the mice and stuff can't get into the building. That's the only way it's attached, is flashing. Please tell me why I need a permit. Well, Darren, you just need a permit. Oh, so you're telling me you just need $500? Is that what you're telling me? You just need $500? Here's your 500 fucking bucks. Now tell me what I need.
And take a walk.
So tell me when do I need inspected? And then they said, well, it has to go into plan review. What's a plan review? Well, we need a new site plan drawn. Oh, so we need a site plan drawn? So we need to draw the entire site plan that was drawn 2 years ago. You need it because, well, yeah, Darren, because you're moving. There was supposed to be 2 bushes where that walk-in cooler was at.
Oh my God.
You need to, well, okay, but you already told me that I could move them bushes wherever I wanted to. So $200 later with the engineer, we moved the 2 bushes. Plan review comes back and they said, we'd like you to paint that walk-in cooler. We'd like you to paint that walk-in cooler the same color as the building. And I said, not a fucking chance. Like he looked at me and whatever. And I said, it's an aluminum walk-in cooler. It's white from the factory. It's a walk-in cooler. If I paint that walk-in cooler in 1 year, that paint will chip off and
Guaranteed.
it will look like dog shit. And he looks at me, he goes, Darren, maybe we could fence it around the walk-in cooler and put slats around it. And I said, I'm not putting one fucking dime more into anything with this walk-in cooler. Okay. I said, I'm not fucking painting it and whatever. And he goes, just call me when it's installed, will you? Yep. I'll call you when it's installed. Right? You can play all your bureaucratic bullshit with you. I'm not painting it. I'm not putting a fence around it. But, most people, they play this game and they drag it out.
Yeah.
And I'm not playing the game with you until finally you just say, I've had enough. And that happened at Smokey D's years ago, right? They fight you and they fight you and fight you until I finally get across from the head guy and I say, you know what? You know who pays taxes?
Bingo. Just what I was thinking.
You're holding up me opening, and you know what their sales tax goes? You know who pays your salary and his salary and his salary? That's me, right? You're on my payroll.
You hate to be a dick about it, but
you're on my payroll, and I pay your salary. And I'm not being a dick about it, but I'm trying to do things the right way. I'm hiring a licensed contractor. I'm doing things the right way. I'm trying to stay within. But if you're going to fuck with me, then I'm going to fuck right back with you. Right?
Mike,
just get the fuck out of the way. Right? Because I'm trying to get a restaurant open. I've got 15 employees that are without jobs from this old cafe. I'm just trying to get them back employed. And you're worried about what it looks like on the outside, on the back side of a building that nobody's ever going to see. You can't even see it from the road. Only way that's going to be able to see it's the employees that are unemployed right now.
Oh.
But yeah, don't you feel like you know what you're doing? But somebody, if they were wanting to open up a restaurant, they would just give up.
Yeah.
Or
maybe, but
you'd almost
probably.
have to hire you'd almost have to hire that general contractor to do that, to fight that bullshit. But the problem is you're probably going to pay another 10, 15, 20% to hire that general contractor. So it's going to take you a lot more. It's going to cost you a lot more to do that. But just beware. If somebody tells you it's going to cost $100,000 to do something, it's not going to cost you $100,000.
What's it going to cost you?
It's going to cost you $200,000 or $300,000. That's just plan on it. This project that we went into, I was almost positive we were going to stay under $125,000. We'll be well above $350,000 on this project.
Oh my God.
Right?
And
we'll be well above $350,000 on this project. And I'm still married, right? And she knows. She's like, hey, I understand. But when you get into things, you can do one of two things. You can put a Band-Aid on it and fix it later, or you can do it like I'm doing it, and you just do it the right way to start off with and pay that front. But you just have to look at all those details. If you think something's a good deal, it's not. It's not a good deal. There's something wrong. Or get somebody that knows something. And I knew a lot going in, and I'm fine. I'd do the whole thing over again, right? I'd do the exact same thing over again. The only thing I would do is I'd make an expectation to the people, that we're employing, because it's like, hey, we think we're going to be closed for a month. Well, man, maybe it's 2 months. Going to be 3 months. That expectation of how long it takes, because it takes a long time when you start tearing shit apart and putting it back together, because things don't work necessarily on your schedule. And luckily, we've been able to get the contractors. I mean, the economy is to the point that we've been able to, hey, we need you tomorrow. We've been able to get them in the next day or two. Sometimes you're waiting 3-4 months.
Right.
What, and it sounds like you did it on the other restaurant some, but the amazing part of it is all this hoops and double hoops and stuff that they're putting you through is taking money out of the county's pocket.
Oh, they don't care.
Yeah.
They have zero interest. When you bring up to them about the tax base from a county employee, they don't care. They don't care. They have zero interest, because they have no vested interest in that. It's the government. They just get money. They get money, and they blow money. I mean, they get paid to blow money. That's what they do.
Let's drop back down to New London. Now, you're talking a town of 1,800 people. They're going to increase their taxes, their sales tax and stuff, because of what she's selling and that. And, she might accidentally have to hire 1 or 2 people to help her if her business keeps growing and stuff.
Yeah, we know we will.
I'm assuming the mayor is not even an elected official. It's whoever gets stuck doing it. It's like it goes around, all the guys at the coffee shop, they take turns being the mayor because nobody else will do it.
It might be that way.
Well, sure it is. I mean, a small town of 1,800, they aren't going to have an election. It's like your brother being on the city council or whatever. It's, would you like to be on the city council? Fuck no, I ain't getting in that mess. And then finally, after they beat you enough, you go, all right. It's kind of like being on a committee of a fundraiser or something. All right, I'll help. And then you get into it, and it's like, oh, fiddly fuck. What am I doing?
All these guys on the city council, the mayor and the city council, they were all like 4 or 5 years younger than me in school now. When I grew up, they're all local guys, right?
And you'd think they would know. Here's something that's going to, and so when somebody comes to pick up cheesecakes, they're going to buy gas at the local Casey's, and there's tax dollars, sales tax on fuel and stuff like that. Yeah. But it just amazes me that when you get into that, the fuckery that goes on and causes you problems. And
they just don't understand that. They just don't. the government doesn't think like a business, right? They
I
don't
know.
think
I
they
know.
don't think like you. And you know what's funny about that whole thing that I learned about thinking like a business and whatever. So my sister, on purpose, a lot of times she orders mail ordered cheesecake shipped to her because she's very interested in mail ordering cheesecakes around the country.
Right.
Right?
There you go. There you go.
Right?
Look
Mail
at that
ordering
business.
cheese. Right? Look at that business. So she orders and she'll pay 60, 70, $80 to have a cheesecake
Okay.
mailed to her. And she'll pay $70 and get a cheesecake that's a little 6-inch cheesecake mailed to her. And she's
Sure.
more interested in checking out the packaging and what it looks like when
Sure.
it gets there and da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And so she says, "Hey, this is something I really want to do. I wonder how many hoops I'm going to have to hop through with the federal government to, from an inspection standpoint." And I said, "Well, hell, if I'm going to do that with barbecue, I got to be a USDA inspected facility, right?"
Right.
Yeah.
Goes to the health department. She can ship cheesecakes out of her house with no additional licensing across the country.
Is it because it's a cheesecake or?
Yeah.
It must be because because it's a dessert or a home baked good.
Yeah.
She can ship it anywhere in the U.S.
Interesting.
and do it. And so really, what I can do, like our jar phase,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about maybe I should be shipping 6-packs of our jar phase around the country.
Right.
Really?
Why wouldn't I?
I don't know.
My concern is on
I
doing
guess.
something like that is Polk County, everybody says, oh, the health department inspections are consistent across the board, across the country. Well, we all know that's bullshit.
Yeah, right.
So would you get that same response from your health department there in your county?
Yeah,
you
I
live
don't
in?
know. I don't know.
And if not,
If
just
not,
have them shipped out of your sister.
If not, I'll ship them out of my sister's.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck them. And there's more than one way to beat the dead horse. So,
God. It was aggressive.
so I guess that there's a term I'd like to use, but I won't. But
You know what, Randy? What's holding you back now?
Yeah,
no,
come on, Randy.
it's one of my favorites, and it's about
then say
watermelon and that and stuff. And
Just
You know you want to.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know I
just
want
do
to,
it.
but I better not.
if it's that bad, I'll cut it.
No, I better not. They
Wimp.
I know, but it goes back. What we're talking about goes back to the guy that, and it doesn't even have to be barbecue. It could be he's a hell of a cook, or his son went to culinary school and doesn't want to go work in downtown Chicago. He wants to work in New London, Illinois, Iowa. And, there's plenty of these restaurants that are in these little fuckwad towns that are famous, that people drive all over the country. I mean, we all know of them. It's like there's a steakhouse in bumfuck Egypt, and people drive from all over,
Yeah,
and when they have
right.
company in town. But that kid or that guy that's wanting to live his dream, how hard is it going to be for him to do that? So you go to the bank. Okay, I need a loan, a construction loan. How much? The guy goes, okay, here's the cost of the building. It's going to be $100,000. But the guy's thinking reality. He goes, I actually need it for $250,000. Well, what bank is going to loan you $250,000 on something that's only worth $100,000? And it reminds me back when we built our house years ago, and I got a hell of a banker that I worked with, and I still do. And we were talking, and we did a lot of the work ourselves and stuff like that. And I said, okay, and I can't remember the exact number. It's going to be it's going to cost us $100,000 to build this house. He goes, all right, that's fine. I'm going to give you a loan for $140,000. I said, I don't need it. He goes, yes, you will. And sure enough,
Yeah.
this thing ran into that thing. And but that was a homeowner's loan and stuff like that. But, a lot of these banks are nervous about getting into commercial loan or, restaurants and everything like that. And I guess that's the other thing is you see somebody that opens up a real good restaurant and then they just peter out. It's like the next thing you know, it's closed. And everybody's like, well, why the fuck's it closed? They were doing a decent business. Well, they maxed out all their operating money on getting the building built and dealing with all the local bureaucracy and all that shit. And so then when it comes time for the rubber to meet the road, they don't have any
every
rubber.
day. Every day we see that. People are like, well, they were only open 8 months, and that's why the majority of them close after a year because, we've said this time and time again, running a restaurant has very little to do with cooking food, right? Very little to do with cooking food. That's why I'm always the anti-restaurant guy. You want to open a restaurant? Don't. Right?
Right.
Unless you can see big. If you can see big. Now, I love owning a restaurant and I can continue to grow and I continue to make really good money in the restaurant business.
Right.
Right? But our sales will go over 10 million this year. Right?
Exactly.
And so when you get to that thing, it's just adding on revenue. You're spreading your fixed cost over. I'm not adding a lot to my accounting. I'm not adding a lot to my insurance. I'm not adding, so you can do that. When you're small, you have that base that you can't even cover that base,
Exactly.
and when you've got a small place, it's hard. If I looked at each one of these little projects, if I looked at that breakfast cafe, I'd never make back that $350,000. I'd never make it back. Right. I mean, it would take a long, long time to make that money back. Right. But truth be known, it's a hell of a tax write-off for the big restaurant. So I'm avoiding taxes and using that as a tax write-off for the big restaurant, and the whole picture makes it look better.
Do you think that restaurant will ever turn a profit?
That restaurant will. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it'll generate enough money to pay back all of its expenses that you've had to do all the work you've done on it? And if so, how long?
To pay back that, I mean, it'll take, so let's say that restaurant starting off should very easily do $750,000 a year.
Right.
Very, very easily. I mean, really that restaurant should do $1 million, but let's say conservatively do $750,000 a year. And it's a breakfast restaurant. So minimum 10% margin. I mean, it really should do a lot more than that, but minimum. So that's $75,000 a year.
Okay.
So 350,000, what's that? 350,000 divided by 75. So that's 4 years just on those expenses alone.
Okay.
But I mean, it'll do much better than that. But I'm going to take a lot of those expenses are going to come as write-offs.
Sure.
That's why you can't. That's why you can't do it alone.
Well, that was just, you took the words right out of my mouth. That's why you can't do it alone, and people get in trouble. And
yeah.
And as you said, in 8 months they close and nobody can figure out why. But before the day they open, they're already maxing out their operating money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they get in trouble. I'm just completely amazed about the trouble you're having in New London. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
The trouble I'm having, Randy, I haven't even started building a building yet.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But new construction, I don't foresee. I'm using a construction company, a general contractor. It's been around for 50 years. I've met with the president, and I don't. These guys really want to build this building. They're a small. I mean, they know the business. They've built almost every single commercial space down there. I mean, they know their shit, right?
Well, and
I mean, I drove down there just to shake their hand. We were going to go walk the we were going to go walk the plot, and I drove down there in a tornadoes all morning. Woke down, it was pouring down rain, and we were going to walk the plot. And we looked at each other and went to the Casey's store and had a cup of coffee for 10 minutes and shook each other's hand and talked. And I drove back to Des Moines. But that 10 minutes with them was just gave me assurance and gave them assurance that this was a real deal.
Well, and don't you think with him being going back to the smaller town, with them being local, are they a local company or somewhat local?
Yep. Nope, they're a local company.
That might help you some there.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Sure.
But for the guy that is in a Des Moines type area,
yeah,
I mean, of opening up a new place from scratch, that's got to be a challenge. And do you think you see a lot of these used to be the Asian restaurants and the Mexican restaurants now are moving into these restaurants that have closed, the chain restaurants, the Hardee's that have closed up and stuff like that. Do you think part of that reason is because they have all of that stuff's already done and they don't have that expense?
Well, a lot of that, you know what's funny? I was talking to my friend. We were coming back. We had just flew back from Boise, and we were on our way to Teddy Camp, out to the cabin, and I noticed all these brand new, I would call them Asian strip malls, right? So there was an Asian grocery store, and there was like Asian restaurants. It was an Asian, really cool. I mean, they were really cool, but they were like Asian inspired strip malls,
right?
Brand new, and there was like 3 of them on the way. And I said, "Hey, Jeff, what's the deal with that?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah." He said, "Government giving Asian huge money to build these things and 7-year tax abatements to build them.
Wow.
Free taxes for 7 years and funding them all kinds of money to build them." Right? I mean, just crazy. Just crazy.
I'll be dang.
We're your government. We're here to help.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. And that kind of is one of the questions, I was thinking about. And for that guy that is wanting to open up a barbecue restaurant, so we've scared the living shit out of them, so they're probably not going to now.
Sorry,
well,
guys.
if you can get by with, if you can grow, the only thing that you really get by the restaurant, and we've mentioned this 100 times too, right? The only thing you get with a restaurant is you give people the ability to taste your food on a consistent basis. Because the only reason you have a restaurant is because you want them to cater your food, because catering's where the money's at in this game, right? That's why you see Chick-fil-A catering. That's why you see all the chain restaurants getting into catering, because they've realized that catering's where the money's at, because you can do a lot of catering with one person, right? So there's a lot of, you can do a lot of revenue with one person. So instead of serving, $1,000 worth of revenue with 5 people on a line, you can do 1,000-person catering with one person,
one
right?
Person.
So that, but people want to taste the food. So whether it's through a food truck on a consistent basis or a restaurant on a consistent basis, that's why you do it, is so you have a consistent thing, right? You don't open a restaurant just to open a restaurant. I'll show you 1,000 reasons why. There's no money in the restaurant business, but there is a lot of money in the catering business. So you want to cater, but you can't just say I'm in a catering business, because people need a way to taste your food. So you have to have that outlet, right? You can't market enough. You can't drop off enough free food. You have to have a way in big masses for people to say, I want to be able to do this.
And that's how our food truck has really complemented our catering business. Because at first, well, we were kind of doing both from the very beginning, before food trucks were a thing to do. And but yet they do, and when I'm typically working the cash register, and somebody will come up, a couple will come up, and they'll say, okay, I want a pulled pork sandwich, a chopped brisket sandwich. I want I'd order a potato casserole, baked beans, coleslaw, mac and cheese, and I'll look at them and I go, "You guys are going to get married. You are getting married, aren't you?" And about 8 times out of 10, they'll go, "Yeah. How'd you know?" "Well, you're getting everything on the menu." And at that point, that's when I take and I get their name and number. And about part of the time, I'll just say, "You know what? It's on me. This is your tasting."
Right. So, and like that, Randy, why do you have some sort of tasting platters? Because they don't need a full portion of everything.
No, we don't.
But if you had, then you can say, hey, do you want me to just put together a little sampler platter instead of giving them a full portion of everything? That's when
Well,
you pull out the little 4 ounce portion cups and the little, hey, you don't need 5 buns here. Let me give you a little bit of all the meat,
Yeah.
and we have done that.
as a platter type thing.
We don't have a per se platter that we sell on the truck, but we have done that of saying, okay, just take a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to say 100% because you don't get them all, but I'd say 90 to 95% of them, then they'll be calling, to book us
Yeah.
for their wedding,
Yeah.
and
Woohoo.
they already know what they want and everything. So,
Sure.
but yeah, the whole food truck and the restaurant complement the catering
Yep.
so well.
So good week in the food truck business.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't out much, but when we were out, we pretty well killed it.
Nice.
We did an event in Springfield on the 4th of July and that evening, and we were concerned, a guy that we're real good friends and do a lot of events together. He does corn dogs and lemonade shake-ups and hamburgers and French fries and stuff. He's been around. It's Coleman's Concessions. They've been around since the beginning of time. They're one of the few people that Bernie's in his 70s and early 70s. And I think he said the first time he worked a food stand was when he was 12 at the Illinois State Fair. And he's been there every year since then, and him with his grandpa and then his folks and stuff. And so, I mean, he knows what he's doing, And so anyway, we were concerned because they were going to have fireworks and then they canceled the fireworks. They couldn't find anybody to set them off. And so, yeah, I know. And so we were concerned it would be a slow night. Well, it was the farthest thing from it. It was back to a normal night. They had rock bands and stuff, and it was just packed with people and stuff. So we had a really good night. And then the next night was we did an event they call Rock the Dock, and it's at a Lake Springfield Marina where they have a couple bands and beer and everything, and it's promoted through our local radio station, through Green Family Autos here in this area, where they were giving out, they'd have these ticket stops where they'd give out free tickets to get into, because tickets were $10 to get in. And then that evening about 9 o'clock, they let off fireworks over the lake. So it's one of the few, and that was on the 5th. So a lot of places we were fighting rain. They did set off their fireworks on the 4th, but that still left us open on the 5th, and place was packed. And we had a fabulous evening. I had the Lawless girls with me, which them and 2 of the other guys. So we had, including myself, we had 5 people in the food truck. And it was one of those deals, okay, kind of the McDonald's rule, you stay here in front of this piece of equipment and this is what you do. Don't move.
Right.
And we kind of did that. And we cranked through a lot of food. It gave me a number that I know now that we had lines from 5:30 till 10 o'clock. We had a line.
Good.
And the biggest line we had was me taking orders.
That checks out.
We just couldn't take orders fast enough, and they were able to get stuff out the window pretty quick with that kind of staffing. So it gave me an idea of a number now that it's like, okay, how much can we physically crank out of that food truck an hour? And
Right.
and so we did our cheese curds for the first time. We did them at the Levitt Amp thing on Thursday night, and we just put it on the menu, and we only took 9 orders with us and sold out by them by 7 o'clock, and then we took 2 cases of cheese curds with us to the Rock the Dock, and we sold all those. And
Wow.
There went Emma. We take this.
Bye, Emma.
We took them and we're calling them barbecue seasoned cheese curds. So we're frying the curds and then putting our rub on them, and people are loving it.
Yeah.
So we had a really good day there at the Levitt Amp. So.
Oh, there she came back.
Or at the Rock the Dock. There she's back.
Hi. My internet just went out. So.
Yeah, it came back as higher quality even.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was using my hotspot because my internet's been going so in and out the last couple of recordings, and that was a mistake. So I'm getting an Ethernet cord, and we're just gonna, connect directly to my router after this. So, yay.
But you talk about overcoming adversity. The crew was out here early, and we actually got everything done, and we're just sitting around killing time before we kind of did some cleaning and stuff. But I knew we were in for a hell of a night, so we did a little just sitting around and visiting and then took off. Well, then that's when the major league fuckery began. I mean, it set my demeanor for the rest of the night, and I don't think anybody wants to work with me again with the way my demeanor was. First of all, some shit in my pickup wouldn't work, so that pissed me off. So then we get almost up there, and we realize I forgot my cap at home. No problem. I'll go in and buy a boat hat,
1, 2 things fucked up.
And then the check to pay for our vending fee, I forgot on my desk.
Okay, 3.
That's a big one.
Yeah. So I knew I could talk to them and get them to I'll mail it to you, the old check in the mail deal. But I didn't want to do that. This was the first time dealing with these people. So Marla was still at home. So I told Marla, pick up my hat and then pick up the check, and I'll meet you at the edge of Springfield at our MJ Kellner, our food provider. It's on the edge. Instead of doing that, meet you. You're on the exit. I'm on the entrance, and fiddle fucking around with that. I said, I'll meet you at Kellner's and get the hat and the check. So we got the truck. We had trouble. Well, we didn't have any trouble, but it's just getting it set in and everything. We opened up the goddamn door, and there the POS system for Toast was laying in the floor. 4. Laying in the floor where you could see that a cord had been ripped out of it as it fell.
Go fuck.
So I had to go meet Marla. And Matt, that works for me, he's pretty good with tech stuff. I said, find out what the fuck we need to fix this or fix it. So all the time I'm thinking, what are we going to do if we can't get the terminal fixed? Well, we've got a handheld unit. So we could use the handheld unit and just run off of that. And we could take credit cards on it and everything. But we'd be, like a monkey trying to fuck a football, with that handheld.
What?
You haven't ever heard of monkey trying to fuck a football?
No. What is wrong with you guys?
So anyway, so I'm flying about 90 back because Marla's like, I'm at MJ Kellner's and I'm still at the lake, and which is south of Springfield a little ways. So I'm flying ass back to the Kellner's to meet her. Well, there was a check made out laying on the desk. She brings a blank check. I'm like, why are you bringing a blank check? Well, I didn't see any other thing. No big deal. So that was like a half. That one didn't even
That's
count.
not even
Yeah,
a
it's
half.
not even a half.
Yeah. So, but I forgot to mention that on the way up there, I slugged down a Monster, so you can imagine how wound up I was
Oh, jeez.
after drinking probably 2 or 3 cups of coffee at home. So I was running on
Wired.
about 300. Yeah, I was wired to fuck. So then Matt calls me in a calm voice. He goes, "We need a USB-C to USB-C cord." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Find a USB-C to USB-C cord and we'll be fine." So luckily, I wasn't too far from Best Buy, thinking Best Buy will have all these cords. It's a gimme. I went in there and it looked like the goddamn locust had been through the cord section of it. I mean, there wasn't anything. There was
Best Buy never has anything anymore, I feel like.
And so then I looked, and there was a USB-C to USB-C cord. Only one left. So I called Matt and I said, "How long does this have to be?" And he goes, "You're just going from the terminal to the printer. So that's right there together." And I'm like, "Okay." I said, 3 foot, get it? Yeah, 3 foot to get it. So I picked that up. Well, while I'm hunting for it, I'm dealing with a guy. He's looking at laptops and wanting to know what version of Windows and everything. And the guy that I'm wanting to deal with is waiting on him. So I'm getting antsy as shit. So anyway, got the cord, went flying ass back to the lake. Come in and I said, here's this cord. Do whatever you want to with it. I'm not dealing with it. Because I figured he had it under control. And he did. Plugged the USB-C into the terminal, plugged it into the printer, which took a matter of probably not even 2 minutes. Boom, we were up and going. And then we had probably one of the busiest nights we've ever had in it. But we had some adversity. Adversity.
Adversity. Yep.
We had some adversity to overcome to get there. And but it's still...
Ours went exactly the opposite yesterday. So we've had this event, and it was down in St. Charles, and this organizer, and I see the emails coming through. I don't answer them, but I see them coming through since we fired the food truck manager, and then we fired the guy that was kind of looking over the food truck, and Shayla, who was then looking over it, was on vacation this week. So anyway, I look at the food truck plan about what we're taking for food, and we're going to a 9-hour event.
Okay.
And,
oh my God.
And I see in the kitchen, normally they're taking this many pounds and this many pounds, and they didn't even double the amount of meat they're taking. I'm like, are you guys smoking something? We're going to a 9-hour event, and there's 6 bands. It's this whole thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we need to up this production. So we way up this production. I said, worst case scenario, we're bringing it back. Okay.
Right.
So we upped the side dish production, whatever. And at the end, I said, normally if we're going to a big event like this, let's sell like 5 or 6 items. But we were selling this whole fucking menu. So anyway, we do this thing. And so I'm on my way home. And anybody need anything? Nope, nobody needs anything. And then they call me on the way home. Hey, we never went to Sam's Club. We need Gatorade and water and chips for the food truck. I'm like, really?
Jesus.
We're gonna do this at 5 o'clock on Friday night? Really? We've known about this event for like 6 months now. We're gonna do this on Friday? Sorry, you're the only one with the Sam's Club card. Okay, well, I'm gonna go home and feed my wife, and I'll go. We'll go to Sam's Club later on date night, and I'll be back at 7 with it. So we go to Sam's Club and get all this stuff, and we take it back. In the meantime, I said, they're like, where are we going to store all this food we're taking? I said, no problem. I'll get a van. This is earlier in the afternoon. I said, I'll get a van. I'll take it home. I got a Alto Sham half size. I'll put it in the van. I'll tie it down. I'll get a generator. I'll get you a gas can. When you get there, all you got to do, I want you to load all this meat in this Alto Sham. When you get there, I want you to take this extension cord, put the generator outside the truck, start it. It'll hold all day long, just beautiful. And this Alto Sham just Just do it. When you get done, unplug it, turn off the generator, put it in there, put the gas can. Don't even touch it. Take all the food out of it. Leave it in the van till Sunday. Don't even try and do anything. I'll deal with it on Sunday. Okay, fine. So I get them all ramped up. We send 3 guys out on the truck. And so I'm like checking sales. I'm like, kind of a little slow to start off with. And then I get tagged from this friend on Facebook that says this event. And it's like this family friendly event. And I'm like, guess I better look at this event. And then I click on the event, and it's like a family friendly event supporting something, but the tickets are 40 fucking bucks a piece to get into this deal.
Holy shit.
I'm like, and the organizer kept going, hey, last year the vendor ran out of food. You make sure you got enough food. You got to make sure enough food. I don't want you coming. You got enough food? Just constantly.
Yeah, heard that
You got
shit.
enough food. So I'm like, I sent enough food to sell $8,000 worth of barbecue. Yeah, we sold $1,700 in 8 hours with 3 people on the truck. Lost my ass on it.
Yeah.
Right? Lost my ass on it. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? But, that's the game you play, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
That's the game you play. It's like, it's like you got to keep asking more questions and more questions and more questions. And here I think it's some band festival. You got 6 bands playing or whatever, but never went, I wasn't involved in booking it, but it's like, okay, you find out they're charging $40 for a Volts, and it's like a charity event raising money for some farm, which is fine, but I sure the hell wouldn't have sent that much food, and I sure the hell wouldn't have sent 3 guys on the truck to do $1,800 for 8 hours.
Yeah.
So anyway, brought a lot of food back, guarantee. A lot of mac and cheese back. I was really humping up, and we were trying to figure out. You got like a 2 or 3 day shelf life on nacho chips. I'm like, you better take down 2 huge tubs, and I think we sold 20 orders of nachos.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, and I did the same thing. We had our worksheets that, prep sheets for what we were going to take. And then when I started doing it, I just had a gut feeling. As you said, I could always bring it back. I started putting more on, put some more on, and I'm glad we did. And I mean, the only thing we ran out of was cheese curds, and because we only had 2 cases of them.
Yeah.
And but it went pretty well. So.
Yeah, our food truck days we're winding her down. We've only got a few events left where we've stopped booking anything altogether. We got a few weddings that we're going to do just because we said we're going to do, and but of course some of them are in like September,
Right.
So it's kind of hard to put that baby up for sale because I promised I'd do the wedding, so it's going to be the worst time in the world to sell that bitch. But
well, I don't know. I'd list it on that usebending.com and be done with it. Then you don't have to dick with it.
What are you crinkling?
oh, sorry,
It's right next to your microphone.
my microphone cord
Oh, yeah.
holder.
But yeah, that's the thing with those. And even with this thing, I was nervous. What made me not as nervous as I could have been was the fact that Bernie Coleman, that I spoke about earlier, he was there, and he's done it for 6 years. So I'm like, if Bernie's done it for 6 years, it must be pretty good. And he had just hellacious lines, and at that one he had. It kind of reminded us of us in the very beginning. He had 2 easy ups, had a gas grill there, everything. We got out of there at about 10:45. And I'll guarantee you, he never got loaded up and back out of there till 1 o'clock or so, because everything, he unloaded the trailer and had all this stuff outside. But
Good Lord.
I'll probably do it again.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a year away, but your staffing and stuff. I know we got to have 4 people no matter what. And talking about shutting the food truck down, the second week of August, I lose all my football players. So that leaves just 1 basketball player. So, and then I lose him back. School starts the last of August. So I'm kind of careful of what I what I've booked and what I'm committed to. But going back to the food truck and the catering, there's a lot of caterings that have came in based on people that have been the food truck
Sure.
and stuff like that. So we'll be good.
Yeah. Well, I only plan on working about 4 hours this week.
Good luck.
I'm only
Yeah.
going to work full. My plan is I work 4 hours this week. So tomorrow might be the best day of my life
Why is that?
because your mom comes back to work.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does. She's
So
pumped.
I get
She's
Amanda.
ready.
I get Amanda back to work tomorrow, and so I figured it'll take me 4 hours to get her back up to speed about
Right.
everything, and then I'm the fuck out of here.
Don't blame you.
She's ready.
I don't have anywhere to go, but no. But I'm so looking forward to that. I got my Google Keep. I got the Amanda list going the other night because I drove back from Minneapolis and Sherry was over there. Oh, sorry, I'm not talking to you. Oh, don't worry, I'm just over here thinking. And by the time I got home, because she doesn't like me writing down stuff when I'm driving, and so I just got down and I just like boom, 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 and every
Yeah.
day I'm boom, 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 boom. And that list is so damn long. It says, "Hey, you're gonna have to start another list," you know. But so
Yeah. She's
I'm like
ready.
I'm super excited for her to conquer the world. So
Good.
I think she is too. She's been on vacation since June 14th.
yeah, yeah.
And she's ready to get back to a routine.
You never knew
For sure.
how much you miss somebody until they're gone, and then you have a chance to get them back, and then it's like the weight. I feel like the weight's gonna like lift off my shoulders because all
Sure it
this all this shit that you're used to have somebody doing, and I never really replaced. I've just been doing it all myself,
Right.
half-assedly.
Right.
So, yeah,
It'll be
I'm gonna
good.
and now she's got intense more training because she's had how many years has she been gone? That
3.
she's 3 years. She's been getting 3 years that she's having to, kind of sit in my shoes for 3 years, having to deal with all this bullshit. So
Right. It'll
she
be good.
knows. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
It's going to be
so,
awesome.
Yeah,
She
it'll
is
be great.
too. She
Yeah.
is too. Well, guys, you did it. How you feeling? Oh, what time are we even at? I don't know. When my internet went out, it restarted the recording.
We're an hour and 7
Oh.
minutes.
Hour
Look
and
at us
7
go.
minutes. Look at
Okay,
us
it
go.
restarted for me, so it says we're at
For-
17 on mine.
For not having anything to talk about, we sure know how to talk about shit.
And we
Every
got
time.
into some
Never
pretty and
fails.
we got into some pretty intense conversations
Yeah,
that
I think
hopefully
this
will
is a good
help
episode.
people on opening
I don't
up
know
a
what I'm gonna
restaurant
call it.
or thinking about
Or
opening up
not.
a restaurant or not, exactly.
Yeah.
Or not. Or
Um,
And
not.
staying out of the fuckery. That's the main
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know
You
what
know how
I'm
to
going to
make
call
it-
this episode, but
And you know how you
That's
make a
fine.
million? How you make $1 million in the restaurant business?
How's that?
Start with 2.
okay. Well, good advice. Educational, to say the least.
Randy, we really need to talk more on a weekly basis now. Hopefully, with Amanda coming on, we'll be able to. Because the only
We'll be
time
able-
Randy and I seems like we get to talk is on this podcast.
Yeah.
Because
That's okay.
normally, and Randy and I are like 2 or 3 times a week we get to talk, but it's been so damn busy with everything. This is the only time we see each other or talk to each other.
Be
So
able to talk. So
That's okay.
all right.
Anyway, that's episode 64. If you haven't already, follow us on social media at Cue the Mic Pod or find us on YouTube at Cue the Mic Podcast. Subscribe, like, follow, do all the things. Randy?
Boom. Out of here, finished, done. Boom.
oh, we're out of here.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
Adios.